So in this section of the consumption frequency toolkit explanations, we'll be talking about explore. So how do we identify the stages of tactical opportunities? And we'll introduce the consumption frequency framework, unpacking the journey of consumption frequency, as well as introduce the primary research guide. So within explore, what we're going to do now is move into the consumption frequency framework, which is essentially tracking our audience through the consumption frequency journey, from successful first trial, frequent consumption, loyal consumption, and business sustainability. Really important for us to understand the stage of change our audience are in, so we're maximizing, we're bringing the right solutions to that audience at that particular time. So if we look at what we're seeking to achieve for successful first trial, what we really want here is that our audience are aware of the product or the category. They see it as relevant to them or their peer group, and there are sort of few barriers to driving trial. Most importantly, when they do trial, that first trial is positive. So these are what we're seeking to achieve in successful first trial. When we move on to frequent consumption, here now our target audience use the product or brand at a level of frequency that's designed to make measurable impacts on their health or nutrition. So we'll recall when Lucie shared the opportunity selection framework, when we're looking at what's the optimal frequency to drive nutritional or health impact, this is really what we're seeking to achieve in frequent consumption. But we all know, I think, we can consume the right foods for a short period of time or conduct the right behavior over a short period of time at a desirable frequency. But ultimately, it's by doing it over time that we get the most significant long-lasting impacts. So really, this is about loyal consumption. So our target audience are using the brand or the product at a desired level of frequency over a prolonged period of time to improve health outcomes. So successful first trial, frequent consumption, but then frequent consumption over time. And as we mentioned when we set up the toolkit, what's really important that all of these strategies and tactics are also sustainable commercially. This is about a commercial, sustainable model for driving sustainable impact at scale. So here, the outcome is that we've developed efficient and frugal mechanisms to reliably deliver our value proposition, our marketing strategy, and distribution schemes while reaching lower income populations. So always holding ourselves accountable to these initiatives to being sustainable commercially. As we look at these four pillars of our outcomes, we've unpicked these to three different stages of focus. So we have brand and product characteristics, we have mass communications that can help us to achieve this, and we have proximity marketing. So within these three buckets of different opportunities for innovation, we then have many different tactical areas. So for example, in brand and product characteristics, we can look at the brand and product meaning. We can look at the brand and product name, the product format and look, the product experience. We can even begin to explore pricing strategies that not only drive first trial, but help encourage loyal consumption over time. When we look at mass communications, this is where we can start to explore the messenger, who's delivering the information, and other message or campaign strategies that we'll explore in part 4 of our journey together in our tactical solutions. And finally, as we look at proximity marketing, some of the tactics and strategies that can be deployed, again, looking at the messenger on a community level or a more close sort of peer proximal level, on the ground marketing activities, the distribution model itself, driving personal confirmation of outcomes, sort of closing the salient feedback loop of positive health behaviors that can sometimes be tough, providing reminders to trigger action, not just the first time, but over time. Sales schemes that can help again to drive lower consumption over time. And as we look to finally word of mouth creation that really can be useful in stimulating this first trial for us. So we'll explore each of these areas in more detail, how we can sort of action this in the tactical areas of our journeys together. So that's a little bit about the consumption frequency framework, how we can sort of move our audience from first trial to loyal consumption over time, while being mindful of being commercially sustainable from a business sense as we achieve this. The second element of Explore and the frameworks that you can access within this toolkit is the primary research guide. Now, our ambition for the primary research guide is to not provide an exhaustive list of the sorts of questions we need to ask or the methodologies by which we can ask them. But what we really want to do is help us with the right sort of questions and observational opportunities to bring us the right in-context or consumer relevant insights that can really work wonders when we look at the universal tactics and strategies to come. So you'll see in the toolkit, this primary research guide, that again is clustered by the tactic, the potential tactic that we think can encourage consumption frequency, the specific research question we want to ask, and the observational insights that we might want to capture. So we'll see these again over product meaning, over brand name, all the way through to packaging prompts and cues and pricing strategies. So as we look at this table, and again, not an exhaustive list, but hopefully a really helpful start, we can start to see some of the research questions and relevant research observation areas surfacing. So for example, simply asking the question of our audience, are they aware of this brand? And what does this brand mean to you? Understanding the existing meaning within a brand or product is really helpful when we come to either leveraging that for consumption frequency or looking to redirect that to encourage more consumption in the future. We can also ask, is our target already consuming this brand or similar products? Right? Is this a question of trial, or is this simply about increasing the consumption pattern? Are there similar products that they are consuming that we can better learn from? Why might they be consuming those products and not ours? What is it again about the brand or the values of that product or brand that we can extrapolate within our own? We can then look at from a product experience perspective. Are there other activities or behaviors that you typically do at the same time of the anticipated use of consumption occasion? So asking someone if it's about an opportunity that might live in breakfast or in sanitation or hygiene, what other activities might sort of surround this? What might we be doing at the same time of this? We might be reading the morning newspaper, or we might be conducting some washing up activities. And these really just help us again to provide other touch points and frames of reference that we can bundle our solutions to. We can better understand what's really happening around this consumption occasion so we can make our product and brand work with this experience. We can also seek some observations, again, not explicitly asking people, but what are we seeing? So what other behaviors are occurring consistently by our audience? What might be opportunities to bundle? If we're doing this every day or multiple times a day, then if we're able to associate our product or our brand with that timing, or with that occasion, or with that activity, then we can naturally increase our consumption frequency. What are they already consuming on a regular basis? And how can we play a part of that? If we look at mass communications, again, similar questions that we can ask. Who do you associate these product benefits with? Right, so if we're about strength, or if we're about purity or cleanliness or energy, and what figures might be most associated with that can help us to deliver that information? Around nutrition, sanitation, how might that be? If we look at the message and campaign, looking at some research observations, what other brand or product messages seem to be compelling for our target? Again, sometimes people might not be able to ask us or tell us this, but we can see it through observation and other data. What arguments do these brands or communications tend to use? What opportunities do they not leverage that we think that we might be able to differentiate our products on market? And what might be any other community passions that we can best understand? What's a cultural truth or local truth that we can, again, build this association to drive relevance, to stimulate that trial, boost that frequency, and enhance that loyalty over time. Now, finally, we look at proximity marketing. Again, another laundry list of ways and questions we can ask and observations we can capture, not exhaustive, but hopefully helpful, as we look at reminders, right, as a tactical opportunity. Does our audience, and the question explicitly to them, do you receive any messages from brands already, whether that's via social media or whether that's on the cell phone? What do you think about them? Are there some that you might like or respond to more than others? Are there some that you really don't like? Is this an existing pattern of behavior that we have permission to play within? If we look at sales schemes, are our target audience already engaged with existing loyalty or subscription programs? Is there anything that our audience might already be doing in sort of a non-direct manner? So buying milk at the beginning of the week, do they pay in advance for a credit system? What other commercial models might we better understand that, again, are familiar, that we can introduce our product into? So that's a little bit about Explore. We've looked at our consumption frequency framework, from driving first trial through to compliant and frequent consumption, all the way through to loyal consumption and business sustainability. And we've just now looked at the primary research guide, how we can ask questions or capture observations to really build in context understanding of the behavior that we want to change, that can help to fuel our further ideation efforts. Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks, Sam. And it's great to see all the opportunities there are in there to really make sure we understand our consumers when we go into ideation for the marketing and consumption frequency tactics, which is actually the next module after this one, and probably the one you have left if you followed us through the first journeys of debunking myth, defining our product category we would be working with, exploring how we can make sure that we target the right path on our consumer journey to have the most impact on their consumption frequency. And then the next module will be around how do we develop tactics to address the specific points that our consumers are stuck in on their journey to consumption frequency and impact on their lives. Looking forward to seeing you on the next module, and have a great rest of the day.